KFA Vision Beyond the Box.
Good afternoon to everybody. Today we will be discussing about operating cycle. We study operating cycle in various subjects like production management, entrepreneurship, strategic management, business entrepreneurship. We learn about operating cycle. So for next 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to spend about a small case study revolving around operating cycle. What we need to remember is, no matter which business we are in, either it's a service sector or a manufacturing setup, or any agricultural production, that particular business is involved in operating cycle, and there are operating cycle dynamics. In operating cycles, we basically talk about 4 components. Okay, the first one is supply. The first one in operating cycle is supply. This is number 1. Number 2 is production. Then we come to number 3, which is demand. And number 4 is collection. So supply, production, demand, collection. Let me repeat it once again. No matter which business we are operating, no matter which business we are organizing, operating cycle plays an important role. Operating cycle is relevant for all the businesses. Now let's break it down. Now when any business is in operation, the first step is supply. This step, supply, precedes production, which means supply comes before production. When we produce things, we actually, in a manufacturing unit, it's much easier to understand. When we produce things, we actually get the raw materials, and we do the production. So getting the raw materials is supply, and actually making the raw materials into semi-finished goods or finished goods is a part of production, right? So, but then we're going to discuss about service industry slightly later. About to elaborate more clearly, a manufacturing unit example would be more relevant, more easier to explain to start with. So supply, production, then we have demand, and then we have collection. So in a running unit, we always go by 1, 2, 3, 4. But let me tell you, like if we want to start something new, if you're thinking from an entrepreneurial perspective, or if you want to think about starting something new, you are not starting from supply in that case. Although it is number 3, you'll be starting from demand. These days, we do not look at what we can supply or what are we good at. We first analyze what does the market need, right? So what is the demand? What are the different variables that the products, the designs, the technology that market needs? So we need to first do a demand analysis on any research projects, on any market survey, or any business plan. We first analyze demand as far as a new company or setting up a new company is concerned. But once it is a going concern, supply, production, demand, and collection plays an important role. Let's directly go into an example. Barbatini Supermarket. It's a big name. It's the biggest retail store in Nepal. It has a lot of branches now. All of us go to Barbatini Supermarket to purchase our things, buy our things, because of the availability, because of the parking space, because of reasonable pricing, and so on and so forth. We go to Barbatini store to market. Now let's analyze the operating cycle of Barbatini store. Now, if you think about production of Barbatini store, do they produce? The question comes, do they produce? They do not produce. They sell, or they trade. Like they buy from somebody, so that's a supply, and then they sell. But in a service industry, the process of selling, or process when we are actually inside the Barbatini store looking for stuff, what to buy, and then a customer service executive or a service boy or a service girl comes to us, he or she shows us the product, explains the product, we take it from the rack, we keep it in the trolley, we go to the counter, we pay the money. That is production. That process is production for service industry. KFA is into 3 aspects: education, training, and consulting. In education, we do MBA programs and we do PhD programs. When we are actually taking classes, like this is as good as taking classes. So when we are actually taking classes, we are actually doing service. We do not produce any material, tangible things, but we are into education service. Similarly for Bhartbhatini, when the service is actually being delivered, that particular thing is called production. Now let's go one step before that, which is supply. Now, if I was Mr. Min Bahadur Gurung, I would be concerned about from where I will be buying stuff. Who are my sellers? Do I limit my, what kind of variations or what kind of options do I have for suppliers? Am I largely depending upon one supplier? If that supplier goes bankrupt, then what? How do I get my Horlicks and Bournvitas and all those stuff which I sell to customers? So what am I relying at? So who are my suppliers? Are they diverse enough? Do they give me quality products? Do they give me products on time? What is my store capacity? Where do I store these things? And what is the kind of quality of my store and also the distribution channel, not the distribution channel, the supply channel? How do I get the supply transported? Is it my responsibility? Is it Bhartbhatini's responsibility to actually bring the goods from the supplier, or is the supplier responsibility to get the things down to my godown or my warehouse? Who takes care of the insurance? All these are risks. Now, things can go wrong. Like, there could be some inferior products coming into my store, which will ultimately impact my production, which is servicing, and impact my demand because customers will not be happy. The entire operating cycle will go haywire. My company will go down. So, am I talking about wrong products? Am I talking about inferior products? Am I talking about delay in receiving? Am I talking about a limited supplier? Do I have the bargaining power? If I only deal with one supplier, and if he says that, okay, this is my price, I have to take it. So all these are risks. So as a business entrepreneur, so as a operating cycle or as a business coordinator, what we need to understand is we need to identify the risks related to all these items: supply, production, demand, and collection, and then we need to bring down the mitigating factors. We have to think about mitigating factors. For example, now, the risk of loss of products on the way to my store. So that the mitigating factor would be insurance. Now, whether am I paying for insurance premium or the supplier is paying, that's a different story. But is the insurance there or not? So we need to identify a risk, and at the same time, a mitigation could be an insurance. If I'm only relying on one supplier or two suppliers, then I might be having a couple of things. I might be running a risk of not getting things on time, or I might be overcharged for my product. So in that case, the mitigating factor is do not rely on single or two suppliers. Go for multiple suppliers so that you have bargaining power, and also whenever there's a supply disruption from one supplier, you can actually go to second or third or fourth supplier and get your product. So identify supply risk, mitigate it beforehand. Do not let the problems hit you. There's a very popular saying called prevention is better than cure. So always prevent yourself, take a proactive action, not a reactive action. Coming down to production, I've already told you for Bhartbhatini Superstore, it is the service thing. So when we go there as a customer, do we walk out satisfied? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Now, when we are very satisfied, it's very good, wonderful. When we are not, then that means maybe the availability, maybe the arrangement of things are not good, maybe the service of the customer service executives are not good. So all those kind of things has to be identified as risk, and a mitigating factor has to be taken. Demand. We talk about 4 P's, right? The first P comes from here, product. The three other P's are price, place, and promotion. Now, are our products rightly priced? How is it compared to Big Mart, which is our nearest competitor for me? So pricing is very important. Do people know about Bhartbhatini? Yes, everybody knows. What is the major source of advertisement for me? I think it's word of mouth. So to create a word of mouth, what do I need to do? I need to satisfy my existing customers so that they go back home, they go to their friends, and then again refer other customers to me. So promotion is important. At the same time, I also use other medium of promotions like ATL, BTL. These days we talk about social marketing. So all those promotions are important. Place. Am I creating enough branches, enough outlets? Yes, I'm doing it. I'm going to Italy, Pokhara, Kathmandu, multiple stores are being created. So, so distribution channels are equally important. Product comes from here. The product in this particular business, supply plays an important role for production. In all businesses they do, but in for Barbary Superstore it is more relevant. So, so supply, production, and then that's how the demand is created. That's how we can see footfalls. If you don't have footfalls in any business, your business will go down, your cash flow will struggle. Please remember, cash flow is very important. Okay? This is out, here in. Fill in the blanks. Cash. Cash out, cash out, cash in, cash in. To the supplier we have to pay, cash out. So for production, for servicing, for rent, water, light, fuel, service staff we need to pay out. Salaries we need to pay out. Demand from customers we receive. And collection we're going to talk a little later. So we always have to remember one thing, that ins from 3 plus 4 must be greater than outs from 1 plus 2. For any business to have positive operating cash flow, please remember, let's go back to your finance now. For any business to have positive operating cash flow, your ins from 3 plus 4 must be greater than your outs in 1 plus 2. Otherwise, your company will go down. We're not talking about financing cash flow, we're talking about operating cash flow. For operating cash flow to happen, demand and collection bottom in cash unsa, you say supplier production out cash flow in the body. That is how it works, right? So now let's talk about collection. For Barbary Superstore, I think there is a very less collection risk, because when we go for shopping, we pay them. Either we pay them cash or we pay them from cards. You might be wondering that when we pay from cards, are they taking the collection risk? Like now, let's talk about some other business. Like these days, you cannot say that 100% of my sales can be done in cash. You have to sell in credit. What collection risk means is the things that you've sold in credit must be converted into cash. It has to be received. Now, if there's a problem, if there's some problem with that particular activity, collecting the credit sales that you've done, then that's called collection risk. Then also you need to have a mitigating factor like establishing guarantees, knowing your debtors, what kind of debtors they are, aging them properly, finding out. So those kind of things are collection risk mitigants. So that needs to be analyzed properly. Now, for Barbary Superstore, lucky for them, like all of us, we actually pay cash. Even for credit cards, when we swap our card and pay the money, they actually sell. They are the merchant. They sell a slip to the bank the next day, and the bank pays them the next day. Their account gets credited. So virtually, and once the credit is swapped and it's authorized by the bank, it comes into POS terminal. Then the collection risk gets transferred from an individual Ram, Shyam, Sita, Gita to the bank. So bank, being a very licensed by the central bank and A-class central banks, A-class commercial banks, there are no risk of collection risk. But everybody's model cannot be as good as Barbary Superstore in terms of collection risk, because when we sell our product, we have to sell in credit. Then that needs to be received. While receiving, there is if it doesn't get converted into cash, or if it's not received, if it goes to bad debt, that's the collection risk. You need to identify that and establish the mitigating factors. So in summary, we discussed about operating cycle. Let me repeat it once again. No matter which business we are in, all of us have operating cycle. Supply, production, demand, collection. For an ongoing sector, for an ongoing business, we start from 1, 2, 3, 4. For a new business, we start from 3, 1, 2, 4, or 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 again, because we need to do our demand analysis. But having a very, very basic knowledge based on common sense about operating cycle is very important. I think the small session was productive. Thank you very much. Thank you.
KFA. Vision beyond the box.